What is up, everybody? It's Brandon from Tattooing 101 back with another video. And I've noticed that many tattoo artists out there, whenever they're first starting, struggle to make a good tattoo. And these are some of the most common mistakes that I have noticed, and also how to resolve them. And make sure you stick around to the end of this video because I'm going to give one point that can make or break you being in the tattoo industry. It's one that almost broke my career entirely, so stick around. Now, the first point I want to talk about is one of the things that I see the most if someone's first getting into tattooing. And that is wanting to do a crazy big tattoo, but they get afraid, so they scale it down a ton. So they pick a dragon or something that should be a back piece, and they're just doing it about 2 inches. Even if you use a really small liner, if you don't have those skin breaks in the design in order to let the ink expand underneath the skin, which is the natural process of healing throughout the life of your tattoo. Whenever it does heal, and in 5 to 10 years, all that ink's going to expand, and it's going to expand throughout the life of your client and the tattoo. So eventually it's going to become a big black blob in the area that you're doing it. And that's not something that you want. You want to think about making your designs as effective as possible, not only for the Instagram picture or from 1 year down the line, but also 10, 20, 30 years on. And this is something I really struggled with when I first started, because there's really no way to tell unless you're focusing on how your tattoos are healing the day after, 2 days after, 3 days after, every single day until it fully heals. And then also seeing your tattoos 5, 10 years in the future. Obviously, if you're first starting out, you don't have that ability, so you're kind of going around guessing. So the basic rule of thumb, don't do designs too small. I actually did a video specifically on this whole subject in a full video breaking down everything and how to tell if your design is too small. One other point I'd like to stress is no matter how good of an artist that you are, this is still going to happen. Ink is going to expand underneath the skin throughout the life of your tattoo. Now, this is completely different than blowouts. Blowouts you're able to see immediately, and that is going too deep into the skin. But the natural process of the life of a tattoo, it is going to expand underneath the skin. So knowing those two things will help you better understand how to tattoo and what to look for in the future. The next point is probably the second biggest thing I see from new tattoo artists, and that is overworking the skin or underworking the skin. So these things go hand in hand. Whenever you first start tattooing, understanding perfect needle depth, hand speed, voltage is a ton of different things that you need to have come together perfectly to create a great tattoo. So if you don't understand how deep to go in the skin, you're either gonna make blowouts or it's not gonna saturate completely and it's going to fall out. So first thing I like to have people understand is the depth that you need to go. Understanding how to hold your machine, how far into fake skins you need to go. Don't get the 1 millimeter fake skins on Amazon. Get ones that are like 3 millimeters thick so you can practice your depth control, because if you're practicing on the other ones, it's teaching you everything the incorrect way to tattoo. And then after that, focusing on your voltage and hand speed. You could completely destroy someone's skin if you have your voltage up way too high and your hand speed's too low. Now, this isn't something I could give you a perfect number on because every machine is different, every person's hand speed is completely different, so this isn't a one-size-fits-all information when it comes to becoming a tattoo artist. There's some tattoo artists out there use 10 volts, some use 5, and everywhere in between. So this is something that you have to find a comfortable speed with your hand when you're tattooing and match the voltage to that. You know, if you're going too fast and trying to get it done too quickly, you're gonna have problems with not being able to be perfect on your stencil. And if you're going too slow, that could cause issues with extra shakiness in your lines. So there's a perfect in-between that you need to find personally to create better tattoos. Now let's get on to shading. The biggest thing I see with shading is the fact that they'll go in and just very quickly try to pack it in and expect it to be there. And then what happens, they're like, oh, that didn't take it all. I'll go over it again, try to cross hatch it a little bit, and they're keeping that same kind of sporadic shading that really doesn't do anything, and they're just going over it tons of times, and then whatever it heals up, it falls out completely because it was completely overworked and the skin was just butchered. So the biggest thing to think about, depending on your voltage, you're gonna match your hand speed to that. turn your mag to the side a little bit and just very slowly keeping the steady pace, matching your voltage to be able to saturate that area and then move on. Now, for some reason, there's a little bit of an area to where it's not completely saturated. You can go very lightly the other way and do some cross hatching. So you're going this way and then this way to be able to saturate the area completely without overworking the skin. Now, mind you, tattooing and the skin that you are tattooing is pretty resilient, but when it does cross that barrier of being overworked, it just creates a mess for the client and the tattoo artist, which could lead to infections, the tattoo falling out, and a ton of extra things that you don't want to have to deal with. So watch your tattoos the day after healing. If you're tattooing on yourself, you'll be able to see it clearly, understand aftercare along with the tattoo. You know, make sure you're taking care of it so you know it's not bad aftercare, things like that, that's making it scab up. It's actually the tattooing process, which is why tattooing yourself, I believe, is a big deal if you're getting into the tattoo industry. I know a lot of other tattoo artists have big views on when I tell people to do that. That's what I did when I first started. That's what every single tattoo artist that I'm friends with has done that are professional tattoo artists now. They always tattooed themselves before going on to clients. So I understand that a lot of people have their own views, but I feel personally, if you don't want to destroy someone's skin, doing it on yourself first is going to be a game changer. Next is going to be people being too afraid to use black in tattoos. I've seen a lot of tattoos out there that it's just, when you look from afar, all the tones are very gray. There's no hard blacks or skin tone to kind of help the transitions to create that depth you need in a tattoo. In order for it to heal up and look really nice and have that dimension and also heal up nicely through time, you know, in 5 to 10 years. If you're doing everything in that gray tone, what's going to happen is eventually through time, it's all going to fade the same way, and it's going to be really hard to read the tattoo in a couple years. And also, even right after healing, it's going to be hard to tell what it is because there's no like heavy blacks in there, nice skin tones, and all the transitions in between. So I understand completely that it could be really scary just going in with black ink because you could always go darker, you can't go lighter. I've heard that so many times in my career, but I promise getting used to putting in black where it needs to go is going to be 100% game changer in your tattooing and also for your portfolio. How are you gonna get new clients if all your tattoos are really hard to tell what they look like from afar? You know, word of mouth is still a big deal in the tattoo industry, along with Instagram, Facebook, all of those things. And people are going to see your tattoos. If they don't look great in pictures or in person, it's going to be an issue. So learn on fake skins, understand where to put your solid blacks, and then put them in use on actual clients. The next big one is going to be line weights. Understanding the line weights that you need to do the tattoo that you're ready for. So as a rule of thumb, the main ones I use, and I do mostly neo-traditional, kind of new school stuff, is I'm going to use a 9-round liner, an 11-round liner, and a 3. Depending on, I'll use either the 11 in a 3 or the 9 in the 3. I do different line weights for different areas. You don't want to just go over a tattoo this big with a 14-round liner because it's all going to blend together. You're not going to have any detail and it's not going to look good. So these are the things that are the biggest, most important thing if you're getting into tattooing, and the biggest mistakes that I see. Understanding what lines go to where, so getting that practice in on fake skins, even labeling them so you understand what you need to use for a tattoo. What I do, I use my iPad. This way I have the different sizes set on my iPad so I know exactly what needle I need to do, and it'll be on the stencil. So there's no confusion whenever I'm in the middle of a tattoo. All my thick lines are going to be my 9 or my 11. All my thin lines are going to be my 3. And that's pretty much my setup for all of the line work that I do. Sometimes I'll throw a 14 in there. If it's like a huge back piece, I'll throw an 18, round shader or something crazy. But as a rule of thumb, it's usually 3, 9s, and 11s. Last point before I go on to the game changer in the tattoo industry is going to be skin types. Everyone's skin is different, and when you're practicing on fake skin, you get used to that 2 millimeter. You're setting your depth, everything's going great, and then you get on a client that has a little bit older skin or thinner skin, and you go 2 millimeters and you just see these roots almost go out from underneath your line. They go every direction because it's a blowout. So what happens is everyone's skin is different. Some people have thicker skin, some people have thinner skin whenever you're going through the epidermis, dermis, all the layers of skin. So Whenever I do my first line on a tattoo, I'm just getting a feel for the skin. You know, I'm not going super deep. I'm just kind of going in about 1.5, sometimes 2, whenever I push it in. And this is a feeling that you'll get through time. You'll just understand whenever you're going the correct depth in the skin, you'll get this vibration through your hand and you'll just understand. It sounds crazy whenever I'm just talking about it, but it's something that you'll definitely feel whenever you're getting on clients a ton and understanding how to tattoo correctly. But whenever you find that depth, that's when you know the depth that you need to go throughout the whole tattoo. So some people, I only go 1 millimeter into the skin and it's going to heal up okay. Because different skin types, you have to tattoo differently for. So like if you're tattooing on an arm and it's nice and stretched out, you don't have to stretch out a ton, but if you're on the rib cage or the neck, you really have to stretch them out, or it's like you'll go to do a line and it's like the needle just bounces straight off. So if you're thinking about the skin like this and you know it's stretchy, you go to hit the skin and instead of it being taut, it doesn't want to puncture because it's just bouncing. Now if you have nice tight skin, it's just going to go straight in because it doesn't have that bounce. So if you're tattooing on a hard area and you're looking down, you feel like your voltage is right and everything, and you go to wipe it away, which I've had happen very early in my career, and there was nothing there. That's because the skin isn't stretched out enough, it's on a weird part of the body. So these are all things that you really don't learn until you just jump onto human skin. People can talk about it, but these are things that are the biggest mistakes that I see, and I really wanted to be clear with you guys so you could try to stay away from making them. Now, if you're getting into tattooing, by no means is everything going to be perfect. You are learning. This is something that you cannot practice outside of live clients. So there's no perfect fake skin out there that's going to teach all these things. It's just doing it. So having the knowledge for this so you understand what to look for, because I remember when I was tattooing the neck before I was ready to, I did the lines and I was like, I have no idea what's going on. Like, is it my machine? Is it my hand speed? The last thing I thought about was I just wasn't stretching the skin out enough. So having these points will help you along your tattoo career. And the biggest mistake that I have made in the tattoo industry that almost destroyed my career is staying in a tattoo shop too long. So I went through 3 apprenticeships throughout my career. And the first 2 were absolutely miserable. It was a terrible time. You know, I was abused, and not in a normal type of, oh, you know, apprenticeships are abusing. Like, it was, you know, a lot of traumatizing things happened in my apprenticeship, and I should have walked away. Best thing for me at the time would have been walked away, focus on my artwork, focus on getting better at those things, and just get into a better shop. At the time, I felt like there was no option, that this is make or break. So whenever I left the first one, I was like, man, this is over. And then I got a second one. After that one, it ended very badly. I really had no other option to leave, or there was just a lot of bad things happening out of the shop. So I thought, for me personally, I had to walk away from a terrible situation, or I could have potentially gotten in trouble for being around these things happening. And if I went through 3 apprenticeships and were able to make it happen, I promise anyone can. So if you're going through a hard time, you're in your apprenticeship and you feel like there's nowhere else to go, there is always a better place. There's always a safer place. There's always a place that'll be more creative and less depressing. So don't give up, keep the drive, because my personal story tells it all. You know, I've went through all of these things and ended up leaving way too late after spending 2 years there when I should have left a lot earlier. And what that did is just put me back in my career. I could have been so much further in that time instead of just wasting time in a shop that wasn't meant for me. So now that you are aware of all the top mistakes that I see from new people getting into the tattoo industry, you're all set on the road to making your clients happy and doing great tattoos that last a lifetime. And if you're a fan of structured learning, check out our Artist Accelerator program. Inside, you're going to learn the fundamentals of tattooing, from basic hygiene to learning how to draw designs, and also learning how to tattoo like a professional in as little as 90 days. Check the link in the description for more information. I hope this video was able to help you along your journey, or if someone was struggling with any of these facts that I brought up, keep pushing and don't give up. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a wonderful day.